You're watching Chalk and Talk by Brian Rhodes. Brought to you by BusinessEnglishPod.com.
Let's take a look at the three conditionals. These are your basic conditionals. Number one, we're going to call it the first conditional. Some books call it the real or probable conditional. Let's just stick to the first one, okay? If it rains, we will cancel the picnic. Now take a look at these verb tenses. We have, in the if clause, we have the simple present. Notice that? It's still indicating a future. And then we have the simple future over here. We will cancel. So the idea is it could rain. There's a possibility of it. It's probably going to happen. And so we use the first conditional, or the probable conditional. You can always put the if clause later in the sentence, as I've done in my second example for the first conditional here. We will go on a picnic if it doesn't rain. Here's your if clause at the end. So you can put them at the beginning with a comma or at the end. And notice there's no comma there. The second conditional is also known as the improbable or unreal conditional. We're going to call it the second conditional. Let's take a look at this. If I were you, I'd get more rest. I'd buy you a new car if I were rich. Those two are the improbable conditional. In other words, it's impossible for me to be you, but if this actually took place, this is what would happen. Same thing here. Am I rich? No, but if I were rich. Now, of course, you're going to notice immediately the verbs here, were and were with I. Formally, people use were in the second conditional. Some people will say was, and that's sort of an informal way of using it. Lots of people use it, however. So let's take a look again. If I were you, I'd get more rest. I'd is actually the shortened form of the contraction of would. So it goes, if I were you, I would get more rest. I'd get more rest. So we have, in the if clause, we have the were, and then in the other clause, we have the would. Second example here, I'd buy you a new car if I were rich, and I've just switched them around. If I were rich, I'd buy you a new car. Once again, this is would buy, and this is were rich. Is it true? No, but imagine. And finally, we get to the third conditional. This is the past improbable. It didn't happen. It's too late for it to happen because it happened in the past, or it would have happened in the past, but it didn't. So we go into the past improbable. It's impossible now, but imagine if. If I hadn't gone to that party years ago, this would, for example, I met my wife at university at a party, and if I hadn't gone to that party, well, we wouldn't be married now. So that's what this is about. If I hadn't gone to that party years ago, I wouldn't have met my future wife. Now, notice the verb tenses here. Hadn't gone, we have a past perfect, and then in this case, we have would plus the past of would, which was would plus the present perfect. So let's take a look again. If I hadn't gone to that party years ago, I wouldn't have met my future wife. Or, I wouldn't have met my future wife if I hadn't gone to that party years ago. So the verb tenses are all different in these three examples. The first conditional, the probable one, look at that one, we will. If it rains, we will. Next one, if I were you, and quite often this is used. If I were you, I would get more rest. If I hadn't gone, I wouldn't have met. So these three conditionals indicate different futures, or sorry, these three conditionals indicate different time frames. And